The Passover is part of the calendar for which religion? Jewish. Passover is a major Jewish holiday commemorating the exodus of the Israelites from slavery in ancient Egypt. It is observed for 7 or 8 days, marked by the Seder meal and the consumption of matzah, unleavened bread. Where in Britain is Bishop Rock Lighthouse? Scilly Isles. Bishop Rock Lighthouse is located on Bishop Rock, the westernmost point of the Isles of Scilly, off the southwestern coast of Cornwall, England. It is renowned for its remote and exposed position in the Atlantic Ocean. Where would you find a Eustachian tube? In the ear. The Eustachian tube is a narrow passage connecting the middle ear to the nasopharynx. Its primary function is to equalize pressure between the middle ear and the outside atmosphere, and to drain mucus from the middle ear. Who wrote the stories, The Nutcracker and the Mouse King, which inspired Tchaikovsky's ballet, The Nutcracker, and The Sandman, which inspired the ballet, Copperlear, by Delibes? Ernst Theodor Wilhelm Hoffmann. E.T.A. Hoffmann was a German romantic author, jurist, composer, music critic, draftsman and caricaturist. His tales, particularly The Nutcracker and the Mouse King, provided the literary basis for famous ballets by Tchaikovsky and Delibes, making them significant works in the history of performing arts. Islamabad is the capital of which country? Pakistan. Islamabad is the capital city of Pakistan, located in the northern part of the country within the Islamabad Capital Territory. It was built in the 1960s to replace Rawalpindi as Pakistan's capital, serving as a modern and planned administrative center. Which 18th century painter and engraver is famous for his works, The Rake's Progress, and Marriage à la Mode? William Hogarth. William Hogarth was an influential 18th century English painter, printmaker, pictorial satirist, and social critic. He is best known for his moralistic and often satirical series of paintings and engravings, such as The Rake's Progress and Marriage à la Mode, which vividly depicted aspects of Georgian society. What is the common name for lentigo? Freckles. Lentigo is a medical term referring to a small, pigmented spot on the skin, often associated with sun exposure. Its common name is a freckle, which are typically benign macules that darken with sun exposure. The Tower of Babel is mentioned in which book of the Bible? Genesis. The Tower of Babel is a mythical structure described in the book of Genesis in the Hebrew Bible. The story explains the origin of different languages and cultures as divine punishment for humanity's hubris in attempting to build a tower to heaven. Who painted mostly in egg tempera, is best known for Christina's World, and whose common subject was Helga Testoff? Andrew Wyeth. Andrew Wyeth was a prominent American realist painter known for his regionalist style and evocative works. He famously used egg tempera and watercolor, with his iconic painting, Christina's World, depicting a woman reclining in a field, becoming one of the most recognizable American art pieces of the 20th century. How many colors are there on the American flag? 3. The flag of the United States of America features 3 distinct colors: red, white, and blue. These colors are arranged in 13 alternating red and white stripes, representing the original 13 colonies, and a blue canton with 50 white stars, symbolizing the 50 states. What is the next number in this sequence? 4, 16, 256, 65,536? 4,294,967,296. This is a sequence where each term is the square of the preceding term. Starting with 4, the next terms are 4 to the power of 2 equals 16, 16 to the power of 2 equals 256, 256 to the power of 2 equals 65,536, and thus the next number is 65,536 to the power of 2 equals 4,294,967,296. Such numerical pattern recognition is a common component of logical reasoning sections in competitive exams. Which poet is buried in an upright position in Westminster Abbey? Ben Jonson. Ben Jonson, a prominent English playwright and poet of the 17th century, is notably buried in an upright position in Westminster Abbey. This unusual burial posture is attributed to the small plot of land allotted to him, possibly due to his request for only 18 inches of ground. Given that the speed of sound is 1,120 feet per second, if a person makes a sound that bounces off an object 112 feet away, how long will it take for that echo to be heard? 0.2 seconds. To hear an echo, sound must travel to the object and then return to the source. Therefore, the total distance covered by the sound is twice the distance to the object, 112 feet * 2 equals 224 feet. Using the formula time equals distance, speed, the time taken is 224 feet, 1120 feet per second, which equals 0.2 seconds. Which European monarch had the longest reign? Louis XIV, France. Louis XIV, known as the Sun King, ruled France for 72 years and 110 days, from 1643 to 1715. His reign is the longest of any monarch of a sovereign country in European history, symbolizing the height of absolute monarchy. Bavaria is a state within which country? Germany. Bavaria, officially the Free State of Bavaria, is the largest state in Germany by area and the second most populous. Located in southeastern Germany, it is renowned for its distinct cultural identity, traditions, and the Bavarian Alps. Which sovereign state is situated between Spain and France in the Pyrenees Mountains? Andorra. Andorra is a small, independent principality located in the eastern Pyrenees, bordered by France to the north and Spain to the south. It is one of Europe's smallest nations, characterized by its unique status as a co-principality under the joint rule of the President of France and the Bishop of Urgell. What physiological process is disrupted when jet lag occurs? Circadian rhythms. Jet lag is a temporary sleep disorder resulting from a disruption to the body's natural internal clock, known as circadian rhythms. This occurs when an individual rapidly travels across multiple time zones, causing a misalignment between their biological clock and the new local time. The phrase, "she slopped her dripper," is an example of what linguistic phenomenon? Spoonerism. A spoonerism is an accidental transposition of sounds, typically initial consonants, between two or more words within a phrase, often resulting in humorous or nonsensical expressions. This linguistic error is named after Reverend William Archibald Spooner, who was reportedly prone to such slips of the tongue. Which country, after its Act of Union agreement expired, held a 4-day plebiscite in 1944 and became an independent republic on the 17th of June 1944, with Sven Björnsson as the first president? Iceland. Iceland formally gained full independence from Denmark on June 17, 1944, during World War II, after a plebiscite confirmed the public's desire to end the personal union established in 1918. Sven Björnsson was elected as the first president of the newly formed Republic of Iceland. Who, in the 16th century, was a member of the court of Ivan the Terrible and became Tsar on the death of Ivan's son, Theodore? Boris Godunov. Boris Godunov was a powerful boyar and regent during the reign of Fyodor I, the son of Ivan the Terrible. After Fyodor's death in 1598, Godunov was elected Tsar, marking the end of the Rurik dynasty and the beginning of the time of troubles in Russian history. James Frederick Ferrier introduced which word to cover the branch of philosophy concerned with the theory of knowledge? Epistemology. Epistemology is a core branch of philosophy concerned with the theory of knowledge. It investigates the nature, origin, and scope of knowledge. The term was notably coined by Scottish philosopher James Frederick Ferrier in the mid-19th century. The Snake River runs through Hell's Canyon on the border of which two U.S. states? Oregon and Idaho. The Snake River is a major river in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. It forms the border between parts of Oregon and Idaho as it flows through Hell's Canyon, which is North America's deepest river gorge. What is the second longest river on the island of New Guinea? Fly. The Fly River is the second longest river on the island of New Guinea, flowing for approximately 1,050 kilometers. It originates in the Star Mountains and empties into the Gulf of Papua, playing a significant role in the geography and ecology of Papua New Guinea. What was the capital of Italian East Africa between 1936 and 1941? Addis Ababa. Addis Ababa served as the capital of Italian East Africa, Africa Oriental Italiana, during the Italian occupation from 1936 to 1941. This period followed the Second Italo-Ethiopian War, which led to the annexation of Ethiopia into the Italian colonial empire. Which archaeologist is famed for excavating the Palace of Minos at Knossos, Crete, between 1900 and 1908? Sir Arthur John Evans. Sir Arthur John Evans was a British archaeologist who unearthed the ancient Minoan civilization at Knossos on the island of Crete. His extensive excavations from 1900 onwards revealed the Grand Palace of Minos, providing crucial insights into one of Europe's earliest high cultures. Which of Galileo Galilei's achievements brought him into conflict with the Church, resulting in his being confined to his house for the last years of his life? His assertion that the Copernican heliocentric view of the universe was correct. Galileo Galilei championed the heliocentric model proposed by Copernicus, which placed the Sun at the center of the solar system, contradicting the geocentric view supported by the Catholic Church. This stance led to his trial by the Roman Inquisition in 1633, where he was found vehemently suspect of heresy and sentenced to house arrest for the remainder of his life. Who was the British Prime Minister during the Falklands War of 1982? Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher served as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom from 1979 to 1990. She famously led Britain during the Falklands War in 1982, a conflict sparked by Argentina's invasion of the Falkland Islands, which resulted in a decisive British victory. Which tree, native to Mexico, Central America, and South America, produces a fruit, technically a large berry, that contains a large, single seed or pit? Avocado. The avocado, Passi americana, is a tree originating from Mesoamerica, belonging to the family Lauraceae. Its fruit, botanically classified as a large berry with a single large seed, is highly valued for its nutrient-rich pulp and healthy fats. The Gila Cliff Dwellings National Monument and Fort Union National Monument are located in which U.S. state? New Mexico. Both the Gila Cliff Dwellings National Monument and Fort Union National Monument are significant historical and cultural sites located in New Mexico. The Gila Cliff Dwellings preserve ancient Mogollon culture cliff dwellings, while Fort Union showcases the ruins of the largest 19th-century military fort on the Santa Fe Trail. How many U.S. presidents have been assassinated by being shot while in office? 4. 4 U.S. presidents have been assassinated by being shot while serving in office: Abraham Lincoln, 1865, James A. Garfield, 1881, William McKinley, 1901, and John F. Kennedy, 1963. This tragic statistic underscores specific critical moments in American political history. In France, what would one typically buy in a fromagerie? Cheese. A fromagerie is a specialized retail shop in France dedicated to selling cheese and related dairy products. This reflects the country's rich culinary tradition and the cultural significance of cheese in French gastronomy. What is the unit of electrical power represented by a current of 1 ampere flowing through a circuit with a potential difference of 1 volt? Watt. The watt, W, is the SI unit of power, named after Scottish inventor James Watt. In electrical terms, 1 watt signifies the rate at which electrical energy is consumed or converted when 1 ampere of current flows across a potential difference of 1 volt. Which German composer, known for his opera, Hansel and Gretel, assisted Wagner at Bayreuth from 1880 to 1881 and taught in Barcelona, Frankfurt, and Berlin? Engelbert Humperdinck. Engelbert Humperdinck was a German composer who studied under Joseph Rheinberger and famously assisted Richard Wagner. He is best known for his opera, Hansel and Gretel, 1893, which combines elements of German folk music with Wagnerian operatic techniques. In which 20th century conflict did the Tet Offensive take place? Vietnam War. The Tet Offensive was a major military campaign launched during the Vietnam War by North Vietnam and the Viet Cong against South Vietnam, the United States, and their allies in early 1968. Although a military defeat for the North, it severely damaged American public confidence in the war effort and marked a turning point in the conflict. In which country is the region known as the Algarve? Portugal. The Algarve is the southernmost region of mainland Portugal, characterized by its stunning Atlantic coastline, picturesque beaches, and numerous golf resorts. It is one of Europe's most popular tourist destinations, significantly contributing to Portugal's economy. What is the term for a musical work primarily designed to develop the technical skill of an instrumentalist? Etude. An etude is a musical composition, typically a short instrumental piece, crafted to help performers improve a specific aspect of their playing technique. Famous composers like Frédéric Chopin and Franz Liszt wrote many well-known etudes that are technically demanding. By what pen name is Marianne, or Mary Ann, Evans, author of Adam Bede, The Mill on the Floss, and Silas Marner, better known? George Eliot. Marianne Evans adopted the male pen name George Eliot to ensure her serious novels would be judged on their literary merit rather than by prevailing societal biases against female authors of her time. She is considered one of the greatest English novelists of the Victorian era, renowned for her psychological insight and realism. According to Christian legend, who offered Jesus her veil to wipe his brow as he bore the cross to Golgotha? Veronica. Saint Veronica is a legendary figure in Christian tradition. She is said to have encountered Jesus along the Via Dolorosa on the way to Calvary and offered him her veil, on which his image was miraculously imprinted. This act of compassion is commemorated in the Stations of the Cross. What substance is added to water to create brine? Salt. Brine is a high-concentration solution of salt, typically sodium chloride, in water. It is commonly used for food preservation, curing, and in various industrial processes due to its ability to inhibit microbial growth and alter chemical properties. Who first coined the phrase, Iron Curtain, when discussing Soviet influence and activities immediately after World War II? Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill delivered his famous Sinews of Peace speech, often referred to as the Iron Curtain speech, on March 5, 1946, in Fulton, Missouri. This speech warned of the division of Europe into Western and Soviet-dominated spheres, significantly shaping Cold War rhetoric. From which country did Panama declare its independence in November 1903, an event that facilitated the signing of a treaty with the USA for the Panama Canal? Colombia. Panama declared independence from Colombia on November 3, 1903, with significant support from the United States. This independence was crucial for the US to secure a treaty for the construction of the Panama Canal, an undertaking Colombia had resisted. Which opera did Giuseppe Verdi compose, commissioned by the Khedive of Egypt, to commemorate the opening of the Suez Canal? Aida. Aida is an opera in 4 acts by Giuseppe Verdi, first performed in 1871. While often associated with the opening of the Suez Canal, 1869, it was actually commissioned for the newly built Khedivial Opera House in Cairo, premiering 2 years after the canal's inauguration. What are rotating neutron stars that emit a beam of electromagnetic radiation, which can only be detected when the beam is directed towards Earth, a phenomenon known as the lighthouse effect? Pulsars. Pulsars are highly magnetized, rotating neutron stars formed from the gravitational collapse of massive stars. They emit beams of electromagnetic radiation that sweep across space like a lighthouse beam, appearing to pulse when observed from Earth. What historic agreement in 1803 involved the acquisition of 1.1 million square miles of land in North America? Louisiana Purchase. The Louisiana Purchase was a landmark land deal in 1803 where the United States acquired approximately 828,000 square miles of territory from France. This acquisition, for $15 million, effectively doubled the size of the young United States and significantly impacted its westward expansion. In which country is the town of Gorgonzola? Italy. Gorgonzola is a town in the metropolitan city of Milan, within the Lombardy region of Italy. It is famously associated with the blue-veined Gorgonzola cheese, a highly prized Italian dairy product with a protected designation of origin, PDO, status. Who wrote The Water Babies? Charles Kingsley. Charles Kingsley, an English clergyman and novelist, is celebrated for his children's novel, The Water Babies, a fairy tale for a land baby. Published in 1863, the story combines a moral fable with natural history, advocating for social reform and hygiene. What are the main differences between the Australian and New Zealand flags? The Australian flag has 2 more stars than the NZ one. Both the Australian and New Zealand flags feature the Union Jack and the Southern Cross constellation. The Australian flag includes a large 7-pointed Commonwealth star beneath the Union Jack and depicts the Southern Cross with 7 white stars, while the New Zealand flag has only 4 red stars with white borders for its Southern Cross. Which organization, with headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland, was established as an agency of the League of Nations in the Treaty of Versailles in 1919 and became a specialized agency of the United Nations after the demise of the League in 1946? ILO. The International Labour Organization, ILO, was established in 1919 as part of the Treaty of Versailles, serving as an agency of the League of Nations. After the League's dissolution, it transitioned to become the first specialized agency of the United Nations in 1946, focusing on international labor standards, social protection, and work opportunities. What is a 1-ounce gold coin minted in South Africa? Krugerrand. The Krugerrand is a prominent South African gold coin, first minted in 1967 to help market South African gold to international markets. It is one of the world's most widely traded gold bullion coins, recognized for containing exactly 1 troy ounce of fine gold. What is the study of fishes? Ichthyology. Ichthyology is a branch of zoology dedicated to the scientific study of fish. This field encompasses the classification, biology, ecology, and behavior of fish, playing a crucial role in understanding aquatic ecosystems and marine biodiversity. Which automobile design features a passenger cabin with an integrated cargo space, accessed from behind by a single, top-hinged tailgate or large flip-up window, commonly with 2 rows of seats, with the rear seat able to fold down to increase cargo space? Hatchback. A hatchback is a car body configuration characterized by a rear door, hatch, that swings upward to provide access to a cargo area. This design integrates the passenger and cargo compartments, with the rear seats often folding down to expand load capacity, offering versatility for various uses. In which city was the Sri Lanka cricket team attacked with a bomb, grenade launcher, and rifles in March 2009? Lahore. The Sri Lanka cricket team was attacked by terrorists in Lahore, Pakistan, in March 2009 while en route to a match. This devastating incident led to a prolonged suspension of international cricket tours to Pakistan and had significant geopolitical repercussions for security in sports. What is the most common color of a topaz? Yellow. Topaz is a silicate mineral of aluminium and fluorine, known for its wide range of colors. While it can be colorless, blue, pink, or orange, yellow is historically considered its most common natural color, particularly for the varieties traditionally used in jewelry. Who coined the term Big Bang to explain the difference between it and his theory of the expanding universe? Sir Fred Hoyle. The term Big Bang was coined by British astronomer Sir Fred Hoyle in 1949 during a BBC radio broadcast. Ironically, Hoyle was a prominent advocate of the rival steady-state theory and used Big Bang disparagingly to describe the opposing theory of a universe originating from a singular point. In which century were the first modern Olympic Games, as they are currently known, held? 19th. The first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens, Greece, in 1896, which falls within the 19th century. These games revived the ancient Greek tradition, promoting international athletic competition and cultural exchange. What religious sect, known for using dancing as a form of worship, was founded by Anne Lee, who migrated with her followers from England to New York in 1772? Shakers. The Shakers, formerly known as the United Society of Believers in Christ's Second Appearing, were a millenarian restorationist Christian sect. Founded by Anne Lee in the 18th century, they were known for their communal living, celibacy, pacifism, and ecstatic worship, which involved shaking and dancing. If one attends a performance of Bizet's Carmen, what type of theatrical work would they expect to see? Opera. Carmen is one of the most popular and frequently performed operas in the classical canon, composed by Georges Bizet. This French opera, first performed in 1875, is renowned for its vibrant melodies, dramatic narrative, and powerful characters. Which U.S. state was the first to secede from the Union in 1860, an event that significantly contributed to the American Civil War? South Carolina. South Carolina formally seceded from the United States on December 20, 1860, following Abraham Lincoln's election. This act was a pivotal moment, signaling the growing divide over slavery and states' rights, and directly initiating the secession movement that led to the American Civil War. The crane fly is also known by what name? Daddy long legs. Crane flies are insects belonging to the family Tipulidae, often mistaken for large mosquitoes due to their slender bodies and long legs. While the common name, daddy long legs, can also refer to harvestmen or cellar spiders, in the context of insects, it frequently applies to crane flies. The airliner built in 1931 and capable of carrying 40 passengers, the Hannibal, was made by which company? Handley Page. The Handley Page HP-42, named Hannibal, was a prominent British biplane airliner introduced in 1931 and operated by Imperial Airways. It was renowned for its safety and comfort, playing a significant role in early commercial aviation during the interwar period. In Scottish legend, what is a kelpie? A malignant water spirit in the shape of a horse. A kelpie is a mythical shape-shifting aquatic spirit from Scottish folklore, frequently appearing in the form of a horse. These spirits are typically malevolent, luring people, especially children, to ride on their backs before dragging them into the water to drown. What reddish-brown bean-shaped organs lie in the abdomen just under the diaphragm, one on each side of the backbone? Kidneys. The kidneys are a pair of vital bean-shaped organs located on either side of the spine, below the rib cage and diaphragm. Their primary function in the human body is to filter blood, remove waste products, regulate electrolyte balance, and produce hormones. Romulus, co-founder of Rome, was deified after his death and worshipped as which god? Quirinus. Romulus, one of the legendary founders of Rome, was deified after his death and subsequently worshipped by the Romans as the god Quirinus. He was considered a protective deity of the Roman people and their communal strength, often associated with the Roman state and warfare. What chess piece is also called a castle? Rook. The rook, often resembling a castle tower, is a major piece in chess. It moves horizontally or vertically any number of unoccupied squares and is essential for castling, a special move involving the king. Feta cheese sold in Europe must contain 70% of milk from what animal? Sheep. Feta cheese, a protected designation of origin, PDO, product in the European Union, must be made primarily from sheep's milk, often with a small percentage of goat's milk. This regulation ensures the authenticity and traditional production methods of feta. By what name is an ornithorhynchus better known? Platypus. The Ornithorhynchus anatomus is scientifically known as the platypus, a semi-aquatic egg-laying mammal endemic to eastern Australia. It is one of only 5 extant species of monotremes, the only mammals that lay eggs instead of giving birth to live young. Why was the Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1799 and a key to deciphering writing from ancient Egypt, so called? It was discovered at Rosetta, a town in Egypt. The Rosetta Stone, a pivotal artifact for deciphering ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs, was discovered in 1799 by French soldiers near the town of Rosetta, modern-day Rashid, in the Nile Delta. The stone contained decrees issued by King Ptolemy V in 3 scripts: hieroglyphic, Demotic, and Ancient Greek. What musical term means, at moderate pace? Andante. In music, andante is a tempo marking indicating a moderate walking pace. It is derived from the Italian word, andare, meaning, to walk, signifying a steady and flowing tempo. What is the name of the most famous art gallery in Paris? The Louvre. The Louvre Museum in Paris, France, is one of the world's largest and most visited art museums, housing thousands of works of art. Originally a medieval fortress, it was transformed into a royal palace before becoming a public museum in 1793. In World War I, the troops of New Zealand and what other country were formed into a single army corps called Anzacs? Australia. ANZAC stands for Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, a formation of the 1st Australian Imperial Force and the New Zealand Expeditionary Force during World War I. These forces played a significant role in the Gallipoli campaign, and Anzac Day is observed annually to commemorate their service. Lake Erie is connected to Lake Ontario by which canal? Welland Canal. The Welland Canal is a ship canal in Ontario, Canada, connecting Lake Ontario and Lake Erie. It is a crucial part of the St. Lawrence Seaway system, allowing ships to bypass Niagara Falls and navigate between the two Great Lakes. Which part of the chili is the hottest? Placenta, the white pithy tissue. The capsaicinoids, which are the chemical compounds responsible for a chili pepper's heat, are most concentrated in the placenta, the white pithy tissue that holds the seeds. While seeds can absorb capsaicin from the placenta, they do not produce it themselves. The Mason-Dixon line, surveyed by Charles Mason and Jeremiah Dixon, which became a popular name for the dividing line between the slave and free states, is the boundary between which two states of the USA? Pennsylvania and Maryland. The Mason-Dixon line, surveyed between 1763 and 1767, initially resolved a border dispute between the British colonies of Pennsylvania and Maryland. Historically, it became the informal demarcation line separating the northern free states from the southern slave states in the United States. Which planet has a year of 687 days, a day of 24 hours 37 minutes, a diameter twice that of the Moon and a mass 1/10 of the Earth? Mars. Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun and is often referred to as the red planet due to its iron oxide-rich surface. Its rotational period is strikingly similar to Earth's, but its orbital period around the Sun is significantly longer, approximately 687 Earth days. What was the name given to rocks in the Straits of Messina opposite the whirlpool of Charybdis? Scylla. In Greek mythology, Scylla was a terrifying sea monster inhabiting one side of a narrow strait, typically identified as the Straits of Messina, opposite the equally dangerous whirlpool Charybdis. This mythological pairing presented an unavoidable hazard for ancient mariners, leading to the idiom, between Scylla and Charybdis, to describe a situation of choosing between two equally perilous alternatives. Who wrote the plays, The Seagull, The Cherry Orchard, The Three Sisters, and Uncle Vanya? Anton Chekhov. Anton Chekhov was a prominent Russian playwright and short story writer, considered one of the greatest masters of the short story in history. His four major plays, including The Seagull and The Cherry Orchard, are renowned for their psychological depth, realistic depiction of contemporary Russian life, and innovative use of subtext. Who was the Greek goddess of health, who was usually represented by a serpent on a staff? Hygeia. Hygeia was the ancient Greek goddess of health, cleanliness, and hygiene, and the daughter of Asclepius, the god of medicine. Her association with a serpent entwined around a staff or bowl became a lasting symbol for medicine and pharmacy, enduring in emblems like the rod of Asclepius and the bowl of Hygeia. Lake Louise and Fairview Mountain are tourist attractions in which country? Canada. Lake Louise is a glacial lake within Banff National Park in the Canadian Rockies, Alberta, Canada, famous for its vivid turquoise waters and the surrounding Victoria Glacier. Fairview Mountain, overlooking Lake Louise, is a prominent peak in the same region, both being iconic natural landmarks attracting global tourism to Canada. In 330 AD, Constantine the Great, Emperor of Rome, moved the capital from Rome to where? Byzantium. Constantine the Great moved the capital of the Roman Empire from Rome to Byzantium in 330 AD, renaming it Nova Roma or Constantinople. This strategic move aimed to establish a new power center closer to the rich eastern provinces and provided a more defensible location. What is the name for the meteorites that arrive at Earth's atmosphere around mid-November? Leonids. The Leonids are a prolific meteor shower associated with the comet Tempel-Tuttle. They are visible around mid-November each year, originating from dust grains ejected from the comet that burn up as they enter Earth's atmosphere. What is the name for the building where monks live and work? Monastery. A monastery is a building or complex of buildings comprising the living quarters and workplaces of monastics, whether monks or nuns, living under religious vows. It serves as a center for religious devotion, study, and communal life. The French call it le manche. What do the English call it? English Channel. The English Channel is an arm of the Atlantic Ocean that separates southern England from northern France, connecting the North Sea to the Atlantic. Known as Le Manche in French, it is one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Which inn at Cheapside near Friday Street, where Shakespeare, Johnson, and friends frequently met, was destroyed by the Great Fire of London? Mermaid Tavern. The Mermaid Tavern was a famous Elizabethan playhouse and meeting place in London, where notable figures like William Shakespeare and Ben Jonson were said to frequent. It was unfortunately destroyed during the Great Fire of London in 1666, a devastating event that reshaped the city. What was the name of the man and his adopted son who were Roman military leaders between 216 BC, the invasion of Italy by Hannibal, and 147 BC, the destruction of Carthage? Scipio. Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus and his adopted grandson, Scipio Aemilianus Africanus, were prominent Roman military leaders during the Punic Wars. Scipio Africanus defeated Hannibal at Zama, while Scipio Aemilianus oversaw the destruction of Carthage, marking crucial turning points in Roman history. Which doctor first explained the circulation of the blood in 1628? Harvey. William Harvey, an English physician, was the first to accurately describe in detail the circulation of blood in the body, which he published in his book, De Motu Cordis, in 1628. His work fundamentally challenged previous Galenic theories and laid the foundation for modern physiology. Macular degeneration affects what part of the body? Eyes. Macular degeneration is a common eye condition and a leading cause of vision loss among older adults. It primarily affects the macula, the central part of the retina responsible for sharp, detailed central vision, crucial for tasks like reading and recognizing faces. How many Great Lakes, on the border between Canada and the USA, are there? 5. The 5 Great Lakes are Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior, Holmes. They are a series of interconnected freshwater lakes located primarily in the upper Mid-East region of North America, forming a natural border between Canada and the United States. According to Greek legend, the sirens threw themselves into the sea and turned into rocks due to the beautiful singing of whom? Orpheus. Orpheus was a legendary musician, poet, and prophet in ancient Greek religion and myth. His musical abilities were so extraordinary that he could charm all living things and even inanimate objects, a feat that surpassed the sirens' own captivating songs. What is the name for the large bodies of water that are along the border between Canada and the USA and in southern Canada? The Great Lakes. The Great Lakes comprise the largest group of freshwater lakes on Earth by total area and are an important geographical and economic feature of North America. They consist of Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, and Lake Ontario. Who danced for King Herod and then asked for the head of John the Baptist? Salome. In the New Testament, Salome is the daughter of Herodias, and her dance before Herod Antipas led to the beheading of John the Baptist. This event has been a significant subject in art, literature, and music throughout history. The borders of which country which became independent in 1971 were established with the partition of Bengal and India in 1947, when the region became the eastern wing of the newly formed Pakistan? Bangladesh. Bangladesh gained independence from Pakistan in 1971 after a bloody liberation war, having originally been East Pakistan following the 1947 partition of British India. Its historical borders are rooted in the partition of Bengal, making its formation a significant event in 20th century geopolitics. Which gas is the most common in the Earth's atmosphere? Nitrogen. Nitrogen, N2, constitutes approximately 78% of Earth's atmosphere, making it the most abundant gas. It plays a crucial role in the nitrogen cycle, essential for the synthesis of proteins and nucleic acids in living organisms. On which continent is Mexico located? North America. Mexico is a country situated in the southern portion of North America, bordering the United States to the north. It is recognized for its diverse landscapes, ancient civilizations, and rich cultural heritage. From which Olympic Games were Germany and Japan excluded? London, 1948. Germany and Japan were excluded from the 1948 London Olympic Games following their roles as the principal Axis powers in World War II. This exclusion was part of the post-war efforts to re-establish peace and order in the international community before their eventual reintegration. What type of tree is the coolabah, found in Australia? Eucalyptus. The coolabah is a common species of eucalyptus tree native to Australia, particularly found in floodplains and along river systems in arid and semi-arid regions. These trees are well adapted to their environment and provide significant ecological value. What is the term for the number of complete cycles of a constant sound wave that pass a given point per second? Frequency. Frequency is a fundamental property of waves, representing the number of oscillations or cycles occurring per unit of time, typically measured in Hz, Hz. For sound waves, frequency determines the pitch, with higher frequencies corresponding to higher pitches. Which Jewish sect's revolt against Roman Emperor Justinian in 529 AD was suppressed so severely that tens of thousands died or were enslaved? Samaritans. The Samaritan revolt against Emperor Justinian I occurred in 529 AD, primarily fueled by the Roman Empire's policies of forced Christianization and persecution. Its brutal suppression led to a drastic reduction in the Samaritan population and a long-term decline of their community in the Levant. What was the composer Wolfgang Mozart's middle name? Amadeus. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, born Johannes Chrysostomus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart, was a prolific and influential composer of the classical era. Amadeus is the Latinized form of Theophilus, meaning lover of God, and has become widely associated with the composer. What was the first propeller-driven ship and the first iron ship to cross the Atlantic? Great Britain. The SS Great Britain, launched in 1843, was an innovative passenger steamship designed by Isambard Kingdom Brunel. It holds the distinction of being the first iron-hulled, propeller-driven ship to successfully cross the Atlantic Ocean, representing a major leap in naval architecture and maritime engineering. What is the term for the geological feature that includes Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Augusta, and Columbus? Fall line. The fall line is a geological boundary in the eastern United States, marking the transition between the harder, crystalline rocks of the Piedmont region and the softer, sedimentary rocks of the Atlantic coastal plain. This zone is characterized by waterfalls and rapids, which historically provided hydropower and marked the head of navigation for rivers, influencing the establishment and growth of major cities along it. Which cantilever design structure, designed by Sir W. M. Errol, was begun in 1883 and opened in 1890? Forth Railway Bridge. The Forth Railway Bridge, a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Scotland, is an iconic example of 19th century engineering prowess. This cantilever bridge, completed in 1890, was revolutionary for its design and construction methods, becoming a symbol of industrial innovation. It remains a vital railway link and a testament to Victorian structural engineering. What name was given to the political scandal in the USA during the 1970s that led to the resignation of Richard Nixon, President of the United States, on August 9, 1974, and the indictment and conviction of several of his officials? Watergate. The Watergate scandal was a major political event in the United States, originating from a 1972 break-in at the Democratic National Committee headquarters in the Watergate office building. The subsequent investigations uncovered widespread abuses of power by the Nixon administration. This scandal ultimately led to President Richard Nixon's resignation in 1974, marking a significant moment in American political history. The Great Western Railway's City of Truro was unofficially recorded as the first steam locomotive to reach a speed of 102.3 miles per hour, 164 kilometers per hour, on May 9, 1904, but the 100 mile per hour, 160 kilometers per hour, record was not officially recorded until November 30, 1934, by which locomotive? Flying Scotsman. The Flying Scotsman, a Gresley A3 Pacific steam locomotive, achieved the first officially authenticated 100 miles per hour, 160 kilometers per hour, speed for a steam locomotive on November 30, 1934. Built in 1923, it became one of the most famous locomotives globally, known for its long-distance express services. This achievement marked a significant milestone in railway engineering and speed records. Which river runs through the town where Shakespeare was born? Avon. The River Avon flows through Stratford-upon-Avon, the birthplace of the renowned playwright William Shakespeare. This connection makes the river and the town significant cultural landmarks, drawing tourists and literary enthusiasts worldwide. The scenic river enhances the historical charm of Shakespeare's hometown. Which ship, then the largest and fastest in the world, featuring steam turbine propulsion, a revolutionary development in ocean liner design, was launched on September 20, 1906? Mauretania. The RMS Mauretania, launched in 1906, was a monumental achievement in maritime engineering, renowned for its pioneering use of steam turbine propulsion. This technological innovation allowed it to achieve unprecedented speeds, earning it the blue ribbon for the fastest transatlantic crossing for over 2 decades. The Mauretania symbolized a significant leap forward in early 20th century ocean liner design and capability. Big Ben is located in which London building? Houses of Parliament. Big Ben is the popular name for the Great Bell of the iconic clock tower, officially named Elizabeth Tower, located at the northern end of the Palace of Westminster in London. The Palace of Westminster serves as the meeting place for both the House of Commons and the House of Lords, collectively known as the Houses of Parliament. As a global symbol of British democracy, Big Ben and the Houses of Parliament are significant historical and architectural landmarks. In total, how many moons do the 4 planets closest to the Sun have? 3. The 4 planets closest to the Sun are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. Mercury and Venus are unique among these for having no natural satellites. Earth possesses 1 moon, simply known as the Moon, while Mars has 2 small moons, Phobos and Deimos. Therefore, collectively, these 4 inner planets have a total of 3 moons. What is the affectionate Spanish language diminutive that María Eva Duarte de Perón, the second wife of President Juan Domingo Perón of Argentina, was known by? Evita. Eva Perón, Evita, was a pivotal figure in Argentinian politics, serving as the First Lady from 1946 until her death in 1952. She was known for her advocacy for labor rights, women's suffrage, and social welfare programs, becoming an iconic symbol of populism and social justice. Which saint's day is the 24th of April? Saint George. April 24th is traditionally associated with Saint George's Day, though the official liturgical date is April 23rd in many traditions. Saint George is the patron saint of several countries, including England, Ethiopia, and Georgia, revered as a martyr in Christianity. The northern border of which country is with the continental USA? Mexico. Mexico shares its northern border with the continental United States, stretching approximately 3,145 kilometers, 1,954 miles, from the Pacific Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico. This border is one of the busiest in the world, with significant economic, social, and environmental implications for both nations. What was the popular name for Bethlehem, or Bethlehem, Hospital, the first home for the insane in Britain established in 1403? Bedlam. Bethlehem Royal Hospital, established in London in 1247 and significantly for the insane by the 14th century, was Britain's first institution for mental illness. Its popular name, Bedlam, became synonymous with chaos and uproar due to the perceived disorder and often inhumane conditions within the institution. The initial slogan for the American War of Independence was, "No taxation without, what? Representation." The rallying cry, "No taxation without representation," was a pivotal slogan during the American War of Independence, encapsulating the colonists' grievance against British rule. It highlighted the injustice of being taxed by the British Parliament without having elected representatives, fundamentally challenging the legitimacy of British authority. Ignis fatuus, a faintly luminous flame which hovers over marshy places, is known as a jack-o'-lantern or what? Will-o'-the-wisp. Ignis fatuus, commonly known as a will-o'-the-wisp, refers to a faint, ghostly light occasionally seen over marshlands and peat bogs. Scientifically, it is attributed to the spontaneous combustion of gases like methane and phosphine produced by decaying organic matter, while culturally, it is associated with folklore and supernatural phenomena. King Harold was killed at the Battle of Hastings in 1066 when an arrow went into what part of his body? Eye. The Battle of Hastings in 1066 was a pivotal event in English history, leading to the Norman conquest. King Harold II, the last Anglo-Saxon king, was famously killed during the battle, securing William the Conqueror's victory and profoundly reshaping England's political and cultural landscape. What is the name of the mountain range that runs for 870 miles for the full length of Italy? Apennines. The Apennine Mountains form the backbone of Italy, extending approximately 1,200 kilometers, 750 miles, from north to south. This mountain range is crucial to Italy's geography, influencing its climate, river systems, and cultural development, and hosts diverse ecosystems. Which university, in 1878, was the first in Britain to make all degrees open to women? University of London. In 1878, the University of London became a trailblazer in higher education by being the first university in Britain to open all its degrees to women. This landmark decision was a crucial step towards gender equality in academia, significantly expanding opportunities for women's intellectual and professional development. What is the name of a whirlpool between two islands of the Lofoten group northwest of Norway, which is the result of opposing tidal currents sweeping through a narrow channel? Maelstrom. A maelstrom is a powerful whirlpool or a strong, often dangerous, current of water. The term particularly refers to a famous whirlpool system located off the Lofoten Islands in Norway, formed by strong tidal currents interacting with complex undersea topography. Where are the Straits of Magellan? Between Tierra del Fuego and Chile. The Strait of Magellan is a navigable sea route in southern Chile, located between the mainland of South America and the Tierra del Fuego archipelago. Named after Ferdinand Magellan, who first navigated it in 1520 during his circumnavigation of the Earth, it serves as a crucial natural passage between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. What secret organization of Irishmen in the Scranton anthracite mining district of Pennsylvania 1865 to 1875 was in violent conflict with the mine owners? Molly Maguires. The Molly Maguires were a secret society of Irish-American coal miners in Pennsylvania during the mid-19th century. They engaged in militant activism and violent confrontations with coal mine owners and their representatives to protest harsh working conditions and low wages. Their activities were a notable part of early American labor history. In which country is the city of Tangier? Morocco. Tangier is a major city in northwestern Morocco, situated on the Maghreb coast at the western entrance to the Strait of Gibraltar. Its strategic location at the crossroads of the Atlantic Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea has made it a historically significant port and a melting pot of diverse cultures. What is another name for the larkspur? Delphinium. Larkspur is a common name used for plants belonging to the genus Delphinium, which are part of the Ranunculaceae family, buttercup family. These popular ornamental plants are known for their tall, slender flower spikes that come in vibrant shades of blue, purple, pink, and white, making them a favorite in cottage gardens. The term musket strictly refers to a firearm with what? A smooth bore. A musket is historically defined as a muzzle-loaded, smoothbore long gun, typically designed to be fired from the shoulder. Predominantly used by infantry from the 16th to the 19th centuries, its smooth interior barrel distinguished it from rifles, which featured helical grooves for improved projectile spin and accuracy. What is the name of the result of the complete census of England carried out under the instructions of William I in 1086? Domesday Book. The Domesday Book was a comprehensive survey of land and resources in England completed in 1086 by order of William the Conqueror. It served as a vital administrative tool for taxation and land ownership, providing an invaluable snapshot of Norman England's society and economy. Samoa, Hawaii, and the Tokelau Islands are part of which geographic area? Polynesia. Polynesia is a subregion of Oceania, comprising a vast group of over 1,000 islands scattered over the central and southern Pacific Ocean. It is characterized by its common Polynesian culture, language families, and distinct geological formations, including volcanic islands and coral atolls. Ferrology is the study of what? Lighthouses and signal lights. Ferrology is the scientific study of lighthouses and signal lights, encompassing their design, construction, historical development, and role in maritime navigation. This field covers various aspects of optics, engineering, and their crucial function in ensuring safe passage for ships. Which Scottish sailor was rescued 4 years after being put ashore by William Dampier at Havana Fernandez in 1703, for insubordination? Alexander Selkirk. Alexander Selkirk was a Scottish privateer and an inspiration for Daniel Defoe's novel, Robinson Crusoe. He was marooned on an uninhabited island in the Havana Fernandez archipelago for over 4 years, 1704 to 1709, before being rescued, an event that became a famous tale of survival. Where are the Kerguelen Islands, a territory of France, also known as Desolation Island? Indian Ocean. The Kerguelen Islands, also known as Desolation Island, are an archipelago in the southern Indian Ocean, making them a remote territory of France. These sub-Antarctic islands are characterized by their harsh climate and serve primarily as a scientific research station, important for studies on biodiversity and climate change. What term denotes both remaining in a fixed position and electrical interference? Static. Static refers to something that is not moving or changing. In electrical contexts, it often refers to electrical interference, particularly static electricity, which is an imbalance of electric charges within or on the surface of a material. What was the designation for the irregular mounted volunteer cavalry regiment led by Theodore Roosevelt during the Spanish-American War in Cuba? Rough Riders. The Rough Riders was the popular name given to the first U.S. volunteer cavalry under the command of Theodore Roosevelt during the Spanish-American War in 1898. This regiment, composed of cowboys, miners, law enforcement officials, and Native Americans, gained fame for their charge up Kettle Hill during the Battle of San Juan Hill in Cuba. In which country would one primarily begin a journey upstream along the Amazon River? Brazil. The Amazon River, the largest river by discharge volume and the longest in the world, flows predominantly through Brazil. While its headwaters are in Peru, the vast majority of its course and its mouth are located within Brazilian territory, making it the primary country for navigating the river. Which location, situated approximately 25 miles west of Knoxville, Tennessee, became the site of a significant atomic bomb research station established in 1942? Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge, Tennessee, was one of the three primary sites of the Manhattan Project during World War II, established in 1942. This secret city was crucial for uranium enrichment, playing a vital role in the development of the atomic bomb. Its facilities, like K-25 and Y-12, were instrumental in producing the fissile materials needed for the first atomic weapons. What term is used to describe the 26 constituent states that form the Swiss Confederation? Cantons. Switzerland is a federal republic comprising 26 cantons, which are its administrative divisions. Each canton possesses its own constitution, legislature, executive, and judiciary, and retains a considerable degree of autonomy within the federal structure of the Swiss Confederation. Which color within the visible light spectrum possesses the longest wavelength? Red. In the electromagnetic spectrum, visible light is a small portion that human eyes can perceive. Red light has the longest wavelength among all colors in the visible spectrum, typically ranging from about 620 to 750 nanometers. This is why red light is scattered less by the atmosphere and can travel further, often used for warning signals. Which European nation experienced a civil war between 1936 and 1939, ultimately concluding with the victory of General Franco's nationalist forces? Spain. The Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 1939, was a major conflict fought between the nationalists, led by General Francisco Franco, and the Republicans. The war, which saw international intervention from both fascist and communist powers, resulted in a nationalist victory and the establishment of Franco's authoritarian dictatorship that lasted until 1975. Where is the newspaper, The Village Voice, published? New York. The Village Voice was a seminal alternative weekly newspaper founded in 1955 in New York City. It was known for its investigative journalism, arts criticism, and coverage of New York's cultural and political scene, making significant contributions to American journalism. Where is the House of Keys, the governing body, with 24 elected members? Isle of Man. The House of Keys is the directly elected lower house of Tynwald, the Parliament of the Isle of Man. Tynwald is one of the oldest continuous parliaments in the world, with a history spanning over 1,000 years. The Isle of Man is a self-governing British Crown dependency. In the 7th to 9th century, which kingdom of England was situated between the rivers Thames and Trent? Mercia. Mercia was one of the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms of England, prominent from the 7th to the 9th centuries. Its strategic location between the Thames and the Trent rivers made it a powerful central kingdom, vying for hegemony with Northumbria and Wessex during the Heptarchy period. What is the term for a straight line drawn from the center of a circle to its circumference? Radius. In geometry, a radius is a line segment connecting the center of a circle, or sphere, to any point on its circumference, or surface. It is a fundamental concept in mathematics, used to define the size of a circle and calculate its area and circumference. What is the name of the traditional character in Commedia dell'arte characterized as a braggart with rough country wit, a black mask, and a large nose? Punchinello. Punchinello, known as Pulcinella in Italian, is a classic character from the Commedia dell'arte, a form of improvisational theatre originating in 16th century Italy. He is typically depicted as a schemer or a simpleton, often a servant, and is distinguished by his distinctive mask and characteristic hump. Who succeeded Vladimir Lenin as the leader of the Soviet Union after his death in 1924? Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin emerged as the dominant figure in the Soviet Union following Lenin's death in 1924, consolidating power through political maneuvering and eliminating rivals. His leadership marked the beginning of a totalitarian regime, rapid industrialization, forced collectivization, and widespread political repression in the USSR. A painting by Sandro Botticelli depicting a goddess emerging from the sea as a full-grown woman, arriving on a seashell, is called The Birth of who? Venus. The Birth of Venus is a renowned painting by Sandro Botticelli, created in the mid-1480s. It depicts the goddess Venus arriving at the shore after her birth, standing on a giant scallop shell. This masterpiece of the Italian Renaissance is housed in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence. Which mountain range runs through the U.S. states of Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico? The Rocky Mountains. The Rocky Mountains are a major mountain range in western North America. They stretch more than 4,800 kilometers from British Columbia in Canada to New Mexico in the United States, passing through states like Montana, Wyoming, and Colorado. The range is known for its dramatic peaks, diverse wildlife, and significant natural resources. What name is given to the rocky bodies that orbit the Sun mainly between Mars and Jupiter? Asteroids. Asteroids are small, rocky, airless bodies that orbit the Sun. Most are found in the main asteroid belt, a region between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. They are remnants from the early formation of the solar system, with sizes ranging from a few meters to hundreds of kilometers. What was the name of an iron case containing gunpowder that was used to destroy a gate or palisade? Petard. A petard was a small, bell-shaped explosive device made of metal or wood, filled with gunpowder. Used primarily during siege warfare from the 16th to 18th centuries, it was attached to a gate or wall to breach it. The phrase, "hoist with his own petard," from Shakespeare refers to being harmed by one's own plot. Who became the King of Sweden on the 15th of September 1973? King Carl XVI Gustaf. Carl XVI Gustaf ascended to the Swedish throne on September 15, 1973, following the death of his grandfather, King Gustaf VI Adolf. As the current monarch of Sweden, his role is primarily ceremonial and representative, as Sweden operates as a parliamentary democracy. Why were the Winter Olympic Games at Lillehammer in 1994 held only 2 years after the previous ones, at Albertsville? To change the timing, to alternate with the Summer Olympics. The 1994 Winter Olympics in Lillehammer, Norway, were held just 2 years after the 1992 Albertville Games. This accelerated schedule was part of a decision by the International Olympic Committee to separate the Summer and Winter Games, ensuring they would be held in alternating even-numbered years rather than in the same year. This change aimed to enhance the appeal and logistical management of both events. Where does kapok, used for stuffing mattresses and cushions, come from? Trees. Kapok is a fluffy, cotton-like fiber obtained from the seed pods of the kapok tree, Ceiba pentandra, primarily found in tropical rainforests. Its lightweight, buoyant, and hypoallergenic properties make it ideal for stuffing mattresses, pillows, and cushions, as well as for insulation and life preservers. Who founded the Unification Church movement? Sun Myung Moon. Sun Myung Moon founded the Unification Church, a new religious movement known for its mass weddings and conservative political activism. He established the Holy Spirit Association for the Unification of World Christianity in South Korea in 1954, often referred to as the Moonies. Which province of Ireland comprises the counties of Clare, Kerry, Cork, Tipperary, Limerick, and Waterford? Munster. Munster is one of the 4 provinces of Ireland, located in the southwest of the island. It is historically and culturally significant, encompassing 6 counties: Clare, Cork, Kerry, Limerick, Tipperary, and Waterford. Which German figure was instrumental in driving the Russians out of Germany at the Battle of Tannenberg in 1914, became head of all German armies in 1916, and was elected President of the Republic in 1925? Von Hindenburg. Paul von Hindenburg was a distinguished German field marshal during World War I, famously securing victory against the Russians at the Battle of Tannenberg in 1914. He later served as the second president of the Weimar Republic from 1925 until his death in 1934, playing a crucial role in the rise of Adolf Hitler. Which propagandist broadcaster during World War II was jailed for 10 years in October 1949? Tokyo Rose. Tokyo Rose was the collective name given by Allied soldiers to English-speaking female broadcasters of Japanese propaganda during World War II. While many women were involved, Eva Toguri Dekino was the most prominent figure associated with the name and was controversially tried and convicted for treason after the war. What is a simple cylindrical container with a flat bottom and a lip for pouring, commonly used in laboratories for stirring, mixing, and heating liquids? Beaker. A beaker is a fundamental piece of laboratory glassware, characterized by its cylindrical shape, flat bottom, and a small spout or lip for pouring. It is primarily used for stirring, mixing, and heating liquids, though its markings are indicative and not for precise volume measurements. According to a fragment of the Aeneid by Statius, when Achilles was born, his mother dipped him in the river Styx to make him immortal. Where was he left vulnerable? Heel. In Greek mythology, Achilles was made invulnerable by his mother Thetis, who dipped him in the river Styx. However, she held him by his heel, which remained dry and thus was his only vulnerable spot, famously leading to the term, Achilles' heel. The Neckar, Main, and Ruhr are tributaries of which major European river? Rhine. The Neckar, Main, and Ruhr are significant tributaries of the Rhine River, one of Europe's longest and most important waterways. The Rhine flows through several European countries and is crucial for trade, transport, and regional ecosystems. Who formally became Emperor of Japan in 1926 and became its constitutional monarch in 1946? Hirohito. Emperor Hirohito's reign, spanning 1926 to 1989, marked a significant period in Japanese history, including World War II and the post-war reconstruction. He transitioned from an absolute monarch to a symbolic constitutional monarch in 1946 under the new Japanese constitution. What ocean borders the U.S. state of Georgia? Atlantic. The state of Georgia in the United States has a significant coastline along its eastern border. This coastal region directly faces the Atlantic Ocean, making it a key geographical feature for trade and maritime activities. What is the world's largest rodent? Capybara. The capybara, Hydrocoerus hydrocaerus, is the largest living rodent in the world, native to South America. Known for its semi-aquatic nature and social behavior, it inhabits savannas and dense forests near water bodies. Which Canadian portrait photographer of Armenian heritage photographed Winston Churchill in his studio in Ottawa on the 30th of December 1941, which, it is claimed, is the most reproduced photographic portrait in history? Yusuf Karsh. Yusuf Karsh was a renowned Canadian photographer celebrated for his iconic portraits of prominent figures of the 20th century. His 1941 photograph of Winston Churchill, taken after famously plucking the cigar from Churchill's mouth, became one of the most recognizable and reproduced images globally, symbolizing wartime determination. To an imaginary observer above the North Pole, which way would the Earth appear to rotate? Anti-clockwise. When viewed from directly above the North Pole, Earth's rotation appears to be anti-clockwise or counterclockwise. This perspective helps in understanding global atmospheric and oceanic circulation patterns, such as the Coriolis effect. What name was adopted in 1957 by London's Sadler's Wells Ballet Company? The Royal Ballet Company. Sadler's Wells Ballet Company, founded in 1931, was instrumental in establishing British ballet. In 1957, it was granted a royal charter and officially renamed the Royal Ballet, cementing its status as one of the world's foremost ballet companies and a national institution. What was ordered by Pope Paul IV in 1555 to be set up on the left bank of the Tiber? Ghetto. The Roman ghetto was established by Pope Paul IV in 1555 with the papal bull Cum in Aemis Absurdum. This decree confined the city's Jewish community to a specific walled quarter, marking a significant historical instance of religious segregation in Europe. What is the largest country by land area in Africa? Algeria. Algeria became the largest country in Africa by land area following the secession of South Sudan from Sudan in 2011. Its vast Sahara Desert territories contribute significantly to its immense size, making it the 10th largest country globally. During World War II, in North Africa, who was known as the Desert Fox? Erwin Rommel. Erwin Rommel was a German field marshal during World War II, renowned for his leadership of the Afrika Korps. His tactical brilliance and unexpected maneuvers in the North African campaign earned him the famous nickname, Desert Fox. The Quran is the sacred book of which religion? Islam. The Quran, often spelled Quran, is the central religious text of Islam, believed by Muslims to be a revelation from God. It contains the teachings and divine guidance conveyed to the Prophet Muhammad, forming the foundation of Islamic law and faith. If you traveled downstream from the Victoria Falls on the border of Zambia and Zimbabwe, which country would you be in when you reached the ocean? Mozambique. Victoria Falls is located on the Zambezi River, which flows eastward towards the Indian Ocean. As one travels downstream from the falls, the river passes through Zambia and Zimbabwe, then flows primarily through Mozambique before discharging into the Indian Ocean. Idris El Senussi, Emir of Cyrenaica, was made the first king of what United Kingdom on the 24th of December 1951? Libya. Idris El Senussi was proclaimed king of Libya on December 24, 1951, marking the nation's independence from Allied occupation after World War II. He reigned as King Idris I until he was overthrown by a military coup led by Muammar Gaddafi in 1969. What is the name for the area of the Atlantic Ocean southeast of Bermuda distinguished by the mass of brown seaweed that floats there? Sargasso Sea. The Sargasso Sea is a region in the gyre of the North Atlantic Ocean, notable for its brown sargassum seaweed that floats on the surface. Unlike other seas, it is not bounded by land masses but by ocean currents. What is a key signature? Combinations of sharps or flats at the beginning of each staff indicating the key of a composition. A key signature in musical notation is a set of sharp or flat cymbals placed on the staff after the clef. It indicates which notes are to be consistently raised or lowered by a semitone throughout a piece, establishing the tonal center or key of the composition. In May 2009, suspected Nazi death camp guard John Demjanjuk was deported from where to Germany? Ohio, USA. John Demjanjuk, a Ukrainian-American, was deported from Ohio, USA, to Germany in May 2009 to face charges related to his alleged service as a guard at the Sobibor extermination camp during World War II. His case was significant in the ongoing efforts to prosecute Nazi war criminals. What famous picture, stolen from its frame in the Louvre in 1911, was recovered in Florence and returned in 1913? Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa, painted by Leonardo da Vinci, was famously stolen from the Louvre Museum in 1911 by Vincenzo Peruggia, an Italian patriot. It was recovered in Florence 2 years later and returned to the Louvre, an event that significantly boosted its global fame. What town 16 miles north of Boston, Massachusetts, USA, dominated by the Puritans in the 17th century, was famous for its witchcraft trials? Salem. Salem, Massachusetts, is historically renowned for the Salem witch trials of 1692 to 1693, a series of hearings and prosecutions of people accused of witchcraft in colonial Massachusetts. This dark period, fueled by religious extremism and social anxieties, resulted in the execution of 20 individuals. What device, found on ships from the 18th century, consists of a telescope, a graduated arc, and 2 mirrors, one of which is attached to a movable arm? Sextant. A sextant is a navigational instrument used to measure the angle between the horizon and a celestial body, like the sun, moon, or a star, to determine a vessel's position at sea. Its invention in the 18th century revolutionized marine navigation by providing a more accurate method for determining latitude. What is the next in the series? Antwerp, Paris, Amsterdam, Los Angeles? Berlin. This series represents cities that have hosted the Summer Olympic Games in chronological order. Antwerp, 1920, Paris, 1924, Amsterdam, 1928, and Los Angeles, 1932. Following this sequence, Berlin hosted the Summer Olympics in 1936. What is the east coast of Nicaragua, fronting the Caribbean Sea, called? Mosquito Coast. The Mosquito Coast, also known as Mosquitia, is a region along the Caribbean Sea in Central America, historically associated with the Mosquito people and known for its distinct cultural and ecological identity. It spans parts of present-day Nicaragua and Honduras. Why did John Malkovich, Steven Spielberg, Kevin Bacon, Larry King, Mort Zuckerman, Senator Frank Lautenberg and co-owner of the NY Met Saul Katz all form part of the same news item in 2009? They were victims of Bernard Madoff's swindles. Bernard Madoff orchestrated one of the largest Ponzi schemes in history, defrauding thousands of investors, including many prominent figures and charities. His fraudulent activities came to light in late 2008, leading to his arrest and conviction in 2009. What was abolished throughout the British Empire in 1833? Slavery. The Slavery Abolition Act of 1833 abolished slavery throughout the British Empire, though it included a system of apprenticeship for former slaves and compensated slave owners. This landmark legislation followed decades of anti-slavery activism in Britain. Who made the first solo non-stop crossing of the Atlantic in 1927? Charles Lindbergh. Charles Lindbergh completed the first solo non-stop transatlantic flight in May 1927, flying his monoplane, Spirit of St. Louis, from Roosevelt Field, New York, to Le Bourget Airport, Paris. This historic flight significantly advanced aviation and made Lindbergh an international celebrity. What is the ratio of hydrogen atoms to oxygen atoms respectively in a molecule of water? 2:1. A water molecule, H2O, is composed of two hydrogen atoms covalently bonded to one oxygen atom. This specific ratio is fundamental to water's chemical properties and its role as the universal solvent essential for life. Which city was founded by Sir Stamford Raffles as a trading settlement in 1819? Singapore. Sir Stamford Raffles, a British statesman, founded Singapore in 1819 as a trading post for the British East India Company. Its strategic location at the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula quickly transformed it into a vital port and a cornerstone of British influence in Southeast Asia. The Greek tragedians Aeschylus, Sophocles and Euripides wrote dramas dealing with which legendary woman? Electra. Electra is a central figure in Greek mythology, daughter of King Agamemnon and Queen Clytemnestra, renowned for her role in the revenge against her mother for the murder of her father. She is a prominent character in tragedies by Aeschylus, Libation Bearers, Sophocles, Electra, and Euripides, Electra. The river Danube is on what continent? Europe. The river Danube is the second longest river in Europe, flowing through 10 countries from its source in Germany's Black Forest to the Black Sea. It has historically been a crucial waterway for trade, transport, and cultural exchange across Central and Eastern Europe. Why was the FIFA World Cup, an international football competition held every 4 years since 1930, not organized in 1942 and 1946? It was difficult to organize due to the effects of World War II. The FIFA World Cup was suspended in 1942 and 1946 because of the outbreak and devastating global impact of World War II. Large-scale international events were impossible to host during this period due to widespread conflict, resource reallocation, and travel restrictions. Leon Trotsky, who served as Russia's foreign secretary from 1918 under Lenin, was exiled to Siberia in 1927 after Lenin's death. How did he die? He was assassinated in Mexico in 1940. Leon Trotsky, a key figure in the Bolshevik Revolution, was exiled from the Soviet Union in 1929 due to his opposition to Joseph Stalin. He eventually settled in Mexico, where he was assassinated in 1940 by an agent of the NKVD, Soviet secret police, Ramon Mercader, solidifying Stalin's control and eliminating a major political rival. What solvent is commonly used by artists to clean brushes when working with oil paints? Turpentine. Turpentine is a traditional solvent derived from pine resin, widely used by artists to thin oil paints and clean brushes. Its efficacy in dissolving oil-based pigments makes it essential for maintaining art tools and achieving desired paint consistencies. What is the central part of an atom called? Nucleus. The nucleus is the dense, central core of an atom, composed of protons and neutrons. It contains nearly all the atom's mass and positive charge, while electrons orbit around it. In 1978, after his exile from Iran, where was Ayatollah Khomeini granted political asylum? France. Before leading the Iranian Revolution, Ruhollah Khomeini was exiled from Iran in 1964 by Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. He spent time in Iraq and then moved to Naufle-le-Château, France, in 1978, where he continued to rally opposition against the Shah until his return to Iran in 1979. What is the name of the ancient Egyptian obelisk, originally from Heliopolis, that now stands in London? Cleopatra's Needle. Cleopatra's Needle is an ancient Egyptian obelisk originally erected in Heliopolis around 1450 BC by Pharaoh Thutmose III. It was later moved to Alexandria and then presented to the United Kingdom in 1819, eventually being erected on the Embankment in London in 1878. How many sides does a regular dodecahedron have? 12. A dodecahedron is a polyhedron with 12 flat faces. A regular dodecahedron is one of the 5 Platonic solids, where each face is a regular pentagon and 3 faces meet at each vertex. In what year were the first Winter Olympic Games held? 1924. The inaugural Winter Olympic Games were held in Chamonix, France, in 1924. This event marked the formal establishment of a separate winter multi-sport competition, following the success of the modern Olympic Games. What was the last major land battle primarily involving forces from England and France? Battle of Waterloo, 1815. The Battle of Waterloo in 1815 is widely considered the last major land battle between forces that included significant English, British, and French contingents. It marked the definitive defeat of Napoleon Bonaparte by a coalition of British, Dutch, Belgian, and Prussian armies. What was the primary habitat of an ichthyosaurus? C. Ichthyosaurs were large, marine reptiles that lived during the Mesozoic era. Their streamlined bodies, powerful tails, and fins made them highly adapted for life in the ocean, resembling modern dolphins and sharks. Which prominent French political figure served as Prime Minister of France twice and subsequently as President of France once? Jacques Chirac. Jacques Chirac was a pivotal figure in French politics, serving as Prime Minister from 1986 to 1988 and again from 1995 to 1997. He later became President of France, holding the office from 1995 to 2007, marking a significant era in French and European history. Which group of islands, largely belonging to the USA, was purchased from Denmark in 1917? Virgin Islands, specifically, the U.S. Virgin Islands. The United States purchased the Danish West Indies from Denmark in 1917 for $25 million during World War I, renaming them the U.S. Virgin Islands. This acquisition was primarily for strategic reasons, especially to protect the Panama Canal. In which city was Adolf Hitler last spoken to? Berlin. Adolf Hitler spent his final days in his Fuhrerbunker in Berlin, where he committed suicide on April 30, 1945, just before the city fell to Soviet forces. His last recorded interactions would have been with his inner circle within the bunker. Which novel, a study of provincial life published in 1856 by Gustave Flaubert, led to the prosecution of its author and publisher for an offense against morals? Madame Bovary. Gustave Flaubert's novel, Madame Bovary, published in 1856, caused a scandal due to its realistic portrayal of adultery and its critique of bourgeois life. Both Flaubert and his publisher were tried for obscenity but were ultimately acquitted, solidifying the novel's place as a masterpiece of realism. Which United States naval base and harbor was attacked by Japanese aircraft on December 7, 1941? Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor, a U.S. naval base in Hawaii, was attacked by the Imperial Japanese Navy Air Service on December 7, 1941. This surprise attack led to the United States' formal entry into World War II the following day. Bayonet and screw fittings are common types used for what household item? Light bulb. Bayonet and screw, Edison screw, fittings are the two primary types of bases used to connect light bulbs to electrical sockets. They ensure both mechanical support and electrical contact, differing in their locking mechanisms. For what geological features is the Mammoth Cave, located near Louisville, Kentucky, famous? Stalagmites and stalactites. Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky is renowned for being the world's longest known cave system. It is particularly famous for its spectacular formations of stalagmites, growing upwards from the cave floor, and stalactites, hanging downwards from the cave ceiling, formed over millennia by mineral deposits from dripping water.